Thank you so much, Doug.
Sure.
Shit, I don't know about you. As I was listening to him, you know when you have a cup of hot chocolate with some marshmallows in it, like you said, you think it's like that's some sweet stuff. Any of y'all thinking that, like, if the Bahamas can evolve there, like that's just some sweet stuff, right? I mean, that's what happened to me. I don't know about you, but that's what happened. We have one of the most respected voices in the pension space in the region to come and share this stage with Doug. And so we're going to invite him now to come. Mr. Derek Osbourne of TELUS Health. I think the first time I really met an actuary and had anybody could talk to us about anything like that was Derek. And I'm going to just take the seat with them.
Now, we heard from Doug, and so I'm really curious to hear Derek's response to what he heard from Doug. How about that?
So, thank you very much, Zhivargo, and thank you very much, CFAL, for having me here today, and good morning, everybody. It's really good to be here. Like you, I felt that sweetness. You know, Nova Scotia found a solution for a Nova Scotia problem. And they're evolving. When new challenges come up and new gaps are found, they find solutions to fit Nova Scotia. In the Bahamas today, we have NIB, which I think we all know is not sustainable in its current form. We have no incentives for employers to have pension plans for their employees. We have very few people who save. We are having fewer children, and therefore no longer do we have 8 children to one bring lunch on Sunday, one pay cable, one pay light, one take on vacation. We no longer have that, right? So we have to find a Bahamian solution for the several problems we have in the Bahamas in pension. I think what we saw today was a good example of, I think you had vision and collaboration, right? So we have to find a common understanding of the challenges that we have, the problems that we have, and agree on what they are. That's the vision. Know where we want to go. And then we find the sensible, smart people we have in the Bahamas. We get some advisors, and we have a common goal, and we find the solution that we need. And then we tell government, get out of the way, right? So government needs to understand that this is a technical issue, not political. It's a long-term issue. It's not a 4 or 5-year plan. Find some smart people and create a board that, again, I like the idea of the 8 requiring the decision. Not 7, right? You have 6 and 6 plus 1, but 8 is a good number to have that majority, that supermajority for a decision. And we can do it. You know, we tend to wait for crises to happen. We tend to wait for, a jolt from some external factor. And so can we find a way to sit down, identify the problems, and take 2-3 years to find the solutions and move forward?
You know, Canada and the United States of America as examples, I've had a long-standing relationship with retirement. Like you've always, if you watch sitcoms over the years, people talk about when I retire, right? Do you think Bahamians in general see the retirement crisis that exists in the country and need to push for what you're talking about? Because there is a retirement crisis. Because as he said, the things that used to get parents along in their old age, they don't exist anymore. These kids are going all over the world, and they are not really thinking about home like that. And so that support network is not really there.
Right. I think it's changing slowly. So we have the CFAL, we have others in the market who are offering education, offering certain products to enhance those savings. And I think more and more we're realizing that our family size is growing, is shrinking. But, the younger generation seems to be more caught up with pleasures of the day and not being concerned about the future as many of us in the room used to be or are. And so we have to find a way to balance that. And we are living longer, contrary to what we may believe. We are, as a people in general, living longer. And so, if we don't work a little longer, we're going to spend more years in retirement years, and therefore draw down on our savings more quickly. And so there are solutions. There are solutions, and we can find them, but it has to be forward-thinking. It has to be proactive, and it has to be one that is not set in stone. I think Doug showed a 1921 act. Britain gave us these similar pension plans, 80 years ago. NIB was 72, right? So, but we haven't really evolved as the Bahamas has evolved, and that's very important.
Doug, one of the things that tends to happen to people when they see the end result of something is we can sometimes romanticize it. Can you tell us the degree of challenge to get where you are?
Oh, it was not easy. I mean, the framework was created through the government of the day in 2010 and 2012. So, all credit to the government at that time. They had the vision. They were being pushed by the government employees union to put something in place that would give the union a greater share in controlling the plan and running the plan. But the government had some vision back then and built or at least authorized the building of the framework that we currently have and that we've continued to work with. But every change has been difficult. A lot of the changes that we've incorporated came from us at the corporation, and we had to persuade the trustees that it was good for the plan, because these folks we don't have professional trustees on our board. They all have day jobs. Some of them, 2 or 3 of them, are retired. But they come to board meetings. They hopefully they prep for the board meetings, but they don't spend all their time thinking about this stuff. So that's kind of on us to try to think of ways to improve things, and then bring ideas to them, and try to persuade them of the value in those ideas in trying to improve the plan. But it was a rocky road along the way. But collaboration is key, and I have to say the superannuation trustee board, and I was on it originally. I was a government lawyer for a bunch of years, and then when it was created on April 1st of 2013, I was one of the first appointees on the trustee board, and I was on the corporate board that day as well, the first day it was created. And I was one of the co-chairs of the board. So I've sort of been involved in this stuff all the way along. The trustee board, in 12 and a half years, I can remember maybe 2 situations where there was disagreement and a split vote. In every case, it's been a unanimous vote on any issue. And it doesn't happen immediately. Sometimes, again, credit to the chair, and we've had 2 great independent chairs who are very professional, and they recognize when there's a gap, and so they let a conversation happen. Then they, take it away, come back, and try to get people into, at a common place in terms of whatever the issue happens to be. So there's a lot of that has to happen.
Just before we go to audience, I'm sure some of you have some questions, but is it not, I would use the word scary, managing sizable pension plans in the environment we have now and evolving?
Sure, yeah. It's scary, but the assets that we hold are very diversified. Okay, so we do for both plans that we manage, we cover virtually every asset class. So they're run on a somewhat conservative basis, at least in some areas. So we don't put all our money on Bitcoin or whatever. It's very diversified. So in markets that are just roaring ahead, we may not be participating fully in those. We're participating, but not fully, but we're protecting against the downside. So when the markets take a dip, we're in much better shape given the diversity of our assets. So that gives me some comfort going forward. And we're built for 100, 200 years.
Right.
Like the idea is that, we're not trying to turn a quick profit tomorrow or next month. We're trying to have continuing returns over a long time. Our discount rate is 6.5% currently, which is actually a little bit on the high side. I mean, it was down in the 5s last year. So that means that over the long term, we're trying to earn 5 or 6%, say 6%, on our assets. And you do that through a mix of asset categories. And again, we cover everything, so.
Questions? Audience, I got a couple I can get. Anybody? We have right over here.
Mr. Moodie, you spoke about the independent chair. How was that person selected?
That's a very good question. So again, this has evolved. So the very first independent chair was selected by the Minister of Finance. So you could say that it was, potentially somewhat political. It wasn't. The chair who was chosen was specifically identified as being a retired industry person, a CFO, a financial person, greatly respected. So the government had enough sense, I guess, at the very beginning to pick someone who was good, who was independent, who knew how to chair a board, had lots and lots of experience. But the trustee realized once it got going that it did not want the Minister of Finance to continue to appoint the board chair. And frankly, once the government created or changed the PSSP and cut its financial responsibility for the plan, it was incentivized to continue to move the plan away from government. It literally took the plan off the government books. So it's off book. The government of Nova Scotia does not consider the superannuation plan, and whether it's running a surplus or a deficit, has no impact on the government's books. And so with the trustee, after a few years into its, probably around 2015, 2016, asked the minister to change the act and give the trustee the responsibility for choosing the chair. So when we did have to replace the chair, the first one lasted for 9 years and did a super job. The trustee ran the process. So by then, the responsibility for determining who should be chairing the board had moved from the Minister of Finance to the trustee itself. And the second trustee in the board's history was put in place in 2022. An external search firm was hired. The whole process was gone through to find a really good candidate. And that person has been in place for 3.5 years now, and it is another wonderful chair.
Y'all heard that, right? See, when you have the government dipping into the treasury to do something, you can't tell the government step away. So you got to just break.
But one option that we can consider, and a few countries have it in the Caribbean, where the chairman, like of NIB, is selected with concurrence of the opposition leader. So concurrence doesn't mean, by the way, I'm making Jennifer the chair. Concurrence means we sit down and we both agree that Jennifer is the best person to be chair.
Yeah. That'll do it.
And also,
if you can get a choice.
Right. And also, board members need not be the pastor or the hairdresser or the political appointee. right? Board members need to be people who understand the business, right? They're going to come there.
Y'all notice how Derek is saying that and looking at me?
Right? And no, we have it. I mean, you all know we have it, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times, the most important part of the board meeting is the meal, right? That happens, right? So we have to find a way to get good people. I'm joking. Well, not serious, but good people around the table, and tell the government of the day that we're serious. Trust us, right? And there's a good time to make good decisions.
We got time for 2 more questions.
Okay, the next question is this. Are you, since you're in Nova Scotia, and when you're looking at your investment portfolio, do you also invest in international entities, or is it just Canadian products that you invest in?
Another good question. We invest everywhere. A very small part. We do own some assets in Nova Scotia. We have some office buildings and some apartment buildings, but it might be 2% of the total assets. We're diversified geographically. We have funds invested, everywhere. If you focus just on the real estate portfolio, for instance, we have pretty extensive holdings in Europe, in the U.S., as well as Canada. Having said that, in the last year or two, we've kind of turned our eye back to the local, to our own neighborhood, and have said to ourselves, like, if we can put money into local developments, we don't have any local economic mandate imposed on us by government, and we don't want anything like that imposed on us by government. But we're smart enough to know that if we can find something that is a win-win, we're making money for the pension plan, but we're also helping our local community, we should take a good hard look at that.
One more question.
Just a quick question on, does your plan have any relation to the CPP? And then for the panel, what's your position on crypto investments in your funds?
Sorry, what was the last part of the question?
Crypto, what's your position on crypto for investments in your funds?
Yeah, we currently have no crypto. There are some plans, I think, that are dipping their toe into crypto, and but we haven't gone there yet. We might get a very small allocation at some point, and see how it goes. First question was about CPP. CPP is entirely different. CPP is a federal plan that's mandatory. So there's a deduction from pay for everybody. It's a mandatory deduction of about 5% of gross pay, and which is matched by the employer, and that gives you a CPP pension later in life. It's not insignificant, but it's not huge. I think the current maximum pension might be approaching 20,000 Canadian dollars a year. So it's certainly, it's certainly an important leg of the stool. We often talk about the three-legged stools, and the three-legged stool, and one leg would be CPP for us. So it's there. But if you're just relying on CPP and OAS in Canada, old age security, it's not going to give you a robust retirement. Certainly, everybody is encouraged to engage in some kind of personal retirement savings themselves, no matter what it is. But again, we like defined benefit plans where we come from. So.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Let's give it up.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.